I want to welcome you to this portion of a Terra versus virtual event. And in this particular session, we're going to be talking about how to simplify your security architecture. I've been in the industry over 25 years, and I've noticed that there are basically three aspects to your security architecture that are critical to be able to secure your customer's environment in the most effective way. And when I think about security, I think about it like this. Imagine, if you will, you are driving in your car and you're heading to, let's say, a store. You're going to go purchase something. So you get in your car, you drive to the store, you park your car, you get out of your car. And what is the first thing that you naturally do to be able to secure your car against theft? The first thing that you would do, I suggest, is you don't leave your car doors wide open or your windows rolled down or your doors unlocked. Now, why do we do that? Because instinctively, we analyze the risk associated with this, with leaving our car in this type of condition. We analyze that risk, and then we take measures or steps systematically to basically harden our vehicle. So that's the first area of security that I want you to think about, which is we want to make it difficult for a criminal to enter our car very easily. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing that we would do is we would, before we go into the store, especially if we have a car of value, the second thing that we do is what I call the second area of security. We're going to set our alarm system. And if you think about what an alarm system does in your vehicle, is that it automatically detects a threat to your vehicle and then has a responsive action. And that responsive action is an automated response. In other words, there are no humans involved in that particular response. So that's the second area of security. Now, what happens if both of these fail? What happens if a criminal actually enters your car and now your alarm system's going off? You enter basically what is the third area of a good security architecture. And that is what I call the human area of security. You need people resources to respond to your car, whether that is you running out to your car and scaring off the criminal, or whether that is you calling the police and the police come and take care of the criminals in your car. But I want you to think about this is a human response because your automation and your hardening have failed. I would submit to you, when you think about securing your customers' environments, that you think about securing it in these same three buckets. And these are, when you translate these into security speak, a successful security architecture basically has three components that are associated with it. The first component is much like what we do naturally, but we seem to struggle with, digitally speaking. And that is what I call analyzing the attack surface in my customers' environments, digitally speaking, and then systematically and operationally hardening that environment. So that is step number one. Our industry as a whole, small, medium business, managed service provider, we struggle with this area of a successful security architecture. It's one of the things that I've noticed as I moved from, let's say, Fortune 50 accounts and helping them in their security operations into the small and medium business. I would surmise that this is the greatest area of difference between, let's say, a Fortune 50 company and their security architecture and a small, medium business MSP managed service security architecture. This is the area of greatest difference. The second area, once you get that operationalized and successful, our industry has spent a tremendous amount of resources in this second area, which is what I call automated security response or automated protection, detection, and response. So what that means is we've sold antivirus, anti-malware software, anything, any solution that has the architecture where it automatically detects a threat on a particular threat vector or across threat vectors, and then automatically responds to those threats using protection mechanisms. All of that is basically the second area of security. And our industry has spent a ton of focus, a ton of resources, making sure that we have the best alarm systems in our customers' environments. So this area is not really our struggle. The third area, which has come on the scene over the last, I would say, 5 years, is this human area of security. In other words, if if I'm a criminal and I've bypassed your hardening security measures, I've bypassed your detection response. Now we get into what the industry calls detection and response or human protection, basically. It's where you have incidents that are presented to human operators, and then those human operators are hopefully 24/7, and they can respond to these various threats using various measures. These three areas of security and these three areas of a successful security architecture basically describe the entire security landscape that you need to think about. And you can put every single security vendor and their solutions in one, two, or three of these particular areas. So as we've talked about this, let me talk to you a little bit about how Bitdefender integrates into each one of these particular areas, and then we'll close up with some closing thoughts. So when you think about analyzing and hardening your environment, you're thinking about your business and how do I, as a managed service provider, or how do we, as an internal IT shop of a small, medium-sized business, how do we analyze the fact that our doors are open in our car? And how do we analyze that our windows are rolled down and our doors are unlocked and maybe the trunk is open in our car? How do we analyze that? And then once we have that data, how do we systematically and operationally go about closing the car doors, locking them, rolling up the windows? Because basically, when you think about it from a criminal organizational point of view, they are coming into a parking lot full of vehicles in the small and medium business space that basically look like a parking lot full of cars and trucks with their car doors open, their windows rolled down, their doors are unlocked, but they have really good alarm systems. That's basically how criminals are entering our businesses at this point in time. So let's talk a little bit about how do we remediate this particular situation and how do we lower the attack surface in our customers' environments by systematically hardening those environments, digitally speaking. So when I think of Bitdefender, Bitdefender has this capability built into our solution that we call Gravity Zone. Bitdefender automatically analyzes 1,800 different areas of risk. In other words, looking at the attack surface in your customers' environments. And then what we do is we categorize those risks, we prioritize those risks for you, and we help you to operationalize reducing the attack surface in each one of your customers' environments, or if you're an internal IT shop, your own environment. How do we do that? We present various vulnerabilities, misconfigurations, human behavioral risks to you systematically, and then we rate the severity of each one of those vulnerabilities. And when you select one of these, For most of them, we will tell you how to remediate them. And if we can, we will actually allow you to click a button within our console and actually remediate that risk automatically, thereby fixing that particular risk in your environment and lowering the attack surface over time as you operationalize this particular solution in your environment. Very, very systematic way that Bitdefender helps you to analyze your attack surface and then lower it over time, thereby helping you to close your car doors, roll up the windows, lock those doors before you leave your vehicle. That is what Bitdefender provides in this particular area. Now, the second thing that you do is what I call automated protection. That is where you set your alarm system. And the security industry is filled with vendors that do this, and so does Bitdefender. This is what we call automated security controls, and where Bitdefender provides value in this particular area of your security architecture, as we have over 30 plus automated security controls that are built into Bitdefender. We have areas where we analyze network traffic for content, even encrypted traffic, even RDP traffic. So we have the ability to automatically detect threats coming over the network for in the content of the packets, and then be able to respond and block those types of threats automatically. We call that network attack defense. The industry calls it HIDS and HIPS. It's already built in. We have web and content control and filtering that does not depend upon the network that you are connected to as an endpoint. So what that means is if you've got roaming users, you actually don't need a VPN solution to implement URL content filtering. It's built right into our engine. We have anti-exploit, anti-malware, fileless attack defense. We have sandbox analyzing. You can finely tune our machine learning and AI engine. We have attack forensics. We have all sorts of different automated security controls that are implemented within our tool. We're known in the industry for this particular area of our solution. What happens if you bypass both of those? Next, you get into what we call human detection and response. Again, this is the human area of security. And what I want you to think about is that most vendors in this space don't really talk much about the human interaction with these solutions. It's sold most of the time and spoken most of the time in the area of automated security controls. What happens is this is not a tool set that is designed to be automated. All of your automated security controls fall into that second area of security. What happens when your hardening and your automation fails? Now you get into this area of security. I'm going to talk a little bit about EDR, XDR, and MDR specifically, and how Bitdefender approaches these particular areas in this solution. But I want you to think about, and I want to emphasize that these tools are for your people resources. So, and people need basically two things or two values in this particular area. Number one, and think about if someone's breaking into your vehicle, and let's say you're the police, what do the police need when they roll up into the scene? They need basically two things. They need, one, the ability to visualize what is happening in and around your car. How many people are involved? Where are those people? What are they doing in the car? Are they armed? Are they not armed? There are lots of visibility questions that need to be answered so that they can determine how best to respond to that particular threat. The same thing is true in this particular area of security. Great visibility matters. and the ability to determine whether something is malicious or benign and do it very quickly is of the essence, because humans are much slower than automated security responses. So they need great visibility. That's area number one. And area number two is that they need the ability or the protection mechanisms to respond to that threat, whether that is isolating a host on the network, or maybe killing a process, or blocking internet traffic, or disabling a user that's been compromised and is being used in the attack. Or maybe it could be killing an email out of Office 365. They need the ability to respond very quickly to this particular threat, wherever the threat may live. So let me show you what Bitdefender does for human visibility. First of all, we automatically correlate in what in most tool sets are isolated incidents that come into a particular graphical user interface. So for example, let's say that you have an incident that involves 23 endpoints, a few users, maybe some email. You might have uh, 70 different incidents that come across line by line in a particular graphical user interface. And then it's incumbent upon the users to correlate that particular activity and figure out. It's kind of like they have to put the puzzle pieces together to be able to see the full picture. With Bitdefender, we put the puzzle pieces together for you, and we present one incident for you and all of the correlated behavior associated with that incident. Why do we do that? So that very quickly you can determine whether an incident is benign, and maybe you have to exclude some objects within that particular incident, or it's malicious and now I need to take corrective action in the account. Maybe I need to disable a user like you see on the screen, or I need to reset their credentials, or maybe I need to kill an email out of Office 365, or maybe I need to isolate multiple hosts on the network. Bitdefender automatically correlates that behavior for your human incident is malicious or benign, and take action very quickly. Again, the actions are literally clicking a button within our UI. We also present that incident, again, that single incident. Notice that in this particular incident, you look at the organizational impact. You have 6 endpoints, a couple of file servers, some users, some files, some emails, etc. You have all of these different entities that are associated with this one incident. And what Bitdefender's done, and we've had this technology in our solution for about 18 months now. Most of the industry is catching up to our technology that is already resident in our production solution. This entire page has been generated by artificial intelligence. So Bitdefender brings in telemetry into our platform. We basically correlate that telemetry. We run an AI engine over that telemetry, and we give you in plain English what we believe is happening in your particular environment, if you notice there on the left. And then over on the right, we guide them to what actions our intelligence would recommend that need to be taken in this particular incident to stop this particular threat. That is what Bitdefender does in this particular area, in both endpoint detection and response and extension or extended detection and response. Well, what if you're a managed service provider, or what if you're an internal IT organization and you don't have security operations? Now you have another option that we call managed detection and response, and Bitdefender has that as well. We have a 24 by 7 by 365 analyst-led monitoring and response service. The onboarding of our service, believe it or not, is within minutes. There is nothing to deploy to onboard our service into Gravity Zone. There is no minimum endpoint requirements. So you can have a customer with 3 endpoints, and we can provide security operations for that particular customer. There's no minimum time commitment for our service, no long-term contracts. We are integrated with XDR technology as well. So as you saw on the screen, our technicians can disable a user. They can kill an email. They can mark a user as compromised in Azure Security Center. They can reset credentials if needed. They can take action beyond the endpoint 24 by 7 by 365 if necessary. We do not consider our service in this area, our security operations service, an alerting service. We are action oriented. It's very, very simple to onboard. All you do in our console is you go into the licensing, you edit your licensing, and you select manage detection and response on the right-hand side there. You click save, and within minutes, you'll receive an email from our service saying, welcome to MDR. Your endpoints are already onboarded in being monitored by our Security Operations Center. How do we do that? Because it's a mapping exercise on our platform. Before you select Manage Detection Response and you click Save, our Security Operations Center cannot see your customer tenant within our platform. When you click Save, your customer tenant is now seen by our Security Operations Center, and all the historical information is there at their fingertips already. And then we want you to do 2 things. We want you to add some emergency contacts so that when we respond to an incident on your behalf, we need to know who to contact and tell them that we have responded to an incident. The second thing that we need from you is basically what actions are we pre-approved to take in your environment. By default, all pre-approved actions are turned on so that we can effectively defend your environment. But let's say you say, I don't want you to be isolating a host on the network. All you have to do is disable that particular item, that particular action that our SOC can take, and we will not do that. Now, what we will do is if we need to isolate a host on the network, we're going to be calling your emergency contacts, and we're going to be asking them to isolate that host on the network. But if you authorize us to do that, we will take that action on your behalf. And notice over on the right, we extend that capability beyond the endpoint into extended detection and response. So why Bitdefender? I hope it's obvious at this point, but when you think about a great security architecture and specifically how to simplify your security, there are basically 3 things that you need to think about in security. The first is, how do I harden my environment? How do I analyze the attack surface and harden my environment? Bitdefender helps you to do that. The second area is your automated security controls. It's your alarm system. Bitdefender provides that particular solution for you as well in a defense in depth architecture. And then the third area, if a criminal organization or malware or whatever the threat is bypasses both of these security controls or both of these pieces of your security architecture, you have the third piece, and Bitdefender can help you either by enabling your own employees to take action 24 by 7 on your customer's behalf or your own internal IT organization's behalf, or you can turn over that particular piece of your architecture over to Bitdefender, and Bitdefender will take action to defend your customer's environment for you. I want to thank you very much. I appreciate your time. I know your time's valuable. Thank you so much to Atera, and I hope you have a wonderful conference.